Good evening, and welcome to WANA Live, the reading series of the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia. I'm your host, Damian Dressick. This is your other host,
Christina Fasonic. How are you, Damian?
I am well, Christina. I have been dodging downed trees here in Pennsylvania.
Did you get another big storm there? Is that while it was down, or?
When a tree falls in the forest, Damian's not always there to see it.
Or to hear it, apparently. So, did it even happen?
No, it definitely happened. That one I can attest to.
So we have a new writer with us tonight, and I'm excited because she's from Maryland, and we love our Western Maryland people, and that means that we're all three in different states tonight, which isn't always true because sometimes two of us are from Pennsylvania or two of us are from West Virginia or something like that, but we have got three states.
Don't neglect New York and Ohio, Christina. I don't want those people to feel left out.
Well, I know, but if they were on the show, then that would mean we would have three states represented. So we need more New Yorkers and more Ohioans to come on the show and join us. So, but tonight, let me
tonight
our writer. Tonight,
by the way, we've got. I see my sweater matches your hair.
Oh, it does. Yes,
it's like the official Pantone color of May.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's been rainy and cold here in northern West Virginia all day today. But and weirdly humid. I guess rainy, but humid in a strange way, an uncomfortable way. But life anyway. So Jennifer Browne. Yes, Jennifer Browne falls in love easily with other people's dogs. I love that is the first line of her bio. She is the author of American Crow and the poetry chapbooks Before, After, In a Period of Absence, A Lake, Whisper Song, and The Salt of the Geologic World, which sounds very compelling. Her work has recently appeared in Poets for Science, Humana Obscura, Trailer Park Quarterly, and One Sentence Poems. You can find her drinking coffee at Clatter in Frostburg, Maryland, and also in the English and Foreign Language Department at Frostburg State University, where she serves as the director of the Center for Literary Arts. So let's bring her on and have a chat. Hello.
Hello. I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I was thinking that when we first met you, we were all at the Indie Lit Festival in Frostburg, Maryland, which I love. And I know Damian does too. And WANA had a great time there. And we personally had a good time there. So what's up with that this year? I know you're probably still working on it, but
I'm still working on it and still accepting proposals if people are interested. There's a Google Doc form online. But we're getting things together, and it should be kind of all of what it has been before, but then even more so.
Now, Jen, I have two questions for you.
Sure, yeah.
One, could you tell us the website for the festival, so people, if they are thinking about doing a proposal, where would they find the website to go submit a proposal?
Man, that would be so great if I could just pull that off the top of my head. But if you search Frostburg State University Center for Literary Arts Indie Lit Festival, it will pop up. It used to be frostburg.edu/CLA, and then we had a major migration with our website, and now it is a more complicated URL. But you can also find all of the information about the Center for Literary Arts on our Facebook group, and the sign-up sheet actually is there. So I'll make a point to kind of repost that tonight in case people are keeping an eye out.
That is excellent.
Oh, Yeah, no, Christina made a good point. We really had a nice time at the festival. There were some wonderful presentations and some terrific readings, and we got to meet some really cool people.
It has been amazing. It's one of my favorite parts of my job, actually. And it doesn't even feel like part of my job because I get to hang out with people whom I love and listen to smart people talk about interesting things. And it's kind of one of my favorite parts of the year.
Oh,
okay, I'll save my second question for later after you read.
What's where we met Rick Campbell, the amazing poet.
Yeah.
And sometimes sarcastic if you're listening, Rick. But I don't know against him.
Whom I adore. Yeah.
And he is an amazing poet. Like that day that I met him and I listened to him read, I went out and bought all of his books.
It's the right choice. Yeah.
I'll take these and just scooped them up and put them in my bag. I paid for them. But I do want to say this before you read. We do have people that are messaging us, and we usually say this for the end, but I wanted to say that Doc Channing has joined us. As he says here, he is the Poet Laureate of South Euclid and Cuyahoga County, Ohio. Hello, Doc. Thanks for joining us from Ohio. And we have a Pittsburgher joining in. Jessica Manick is here from Pittsburgh. And we know and love Jessica. So thanks for representing. Oh, and John Burrows is here. He says, I bought all of Rick's books and handed it as well. So I'm glad it wasn't just me. I was thinking Rick was probably thinking, what a weirdo. She's stalking me now, but I just fell in love with his poetry. Yeah. So that his voice and the way that he talks about and a lot of his work about the region and steel mills and this sort of from a time, and it's really, really good work. So, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about you. What will you be reading from tonight?
Well, so actually I'm reading kind of some new stuff because I've been working on this project lately about sort of serial poems on the difficulty of saying, right? That's kind of what all of them are arranged around. And that might be difficulty of saying because of speech impediments or stuttering or just the complication of complicated subjects, right? So what I'd like to do is read one of those long serial poems, a very short poem, and then in the same project, and then another short poem that's separate from that project. So it is, I'm a lover of footnotes, probably good for me to say that on the difficulty of saying, there is an etymology from the online etymology dictionary. There is an epigraph from Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt from their oblique strategies. And there is also a description of common burdock from the Ohio Perennial and Biennial Weed Guide, just to give the footnotes. Awesome. So this is on the difficulty of saying burdock. I should also say there are two ways to say burr. And one has one R and the other has two R's. And so I will try to remember to signify using my fingers which version of burr it is. On the difficulty of saying burdock, the most important thing is the thing most easily forgotten. Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt. I say my waiting has become a burr, mean the snag of bracts lodged against skin made tender. Later, I think an idea is a seed an idea. A history of wrong words, I meant burr, a burr's hooks become proliferation. Burr, rough sound of the letter R, 1760, later extended to Northern accented speech in general. Possibly the sound of the word is imitative of the speech peculiarity itself, or it was adapted from one of the senses of burr, perhaps from the phrase, to have a burr in one's throat, which was a figure of speech for feel a choking sensation, huskiness. I have feelings I can't name, can't bring myself to name. Think of breath against the surface of your skin, whose lungs warm the breathing air. When you turn to meet their face, what is it you say? I cough to cast the bracts. Rough sound of the letter R becomes a metal rasp. Burr becomes rough edge on metal, scraping edge of the words catch, a rasp in the voice, scratches at the throat. It's work to name it, to ask. The words are reversed, interchangeable. There is so little I know, even when everything seems to be saying the same thing. Burr, burr, one breath breathes against another, another's breath. There is speech. Where does all the breath go? When other layers scrape away, the seed remains. It's fear that chokes the throat. burdock, also called bardane. I think of songs caught in the mind, brought forward on breath, carrying the wind. I am singing. I am singing every song you've named as one that I should hear. Imagine burdock bracts snagging woolen stockings, colonizing. I think I've picked them all apart, discarded. Days later, they appear again on the same hem. By 1633, burdock was so widespread in the US that a botanist mistakenly referred to it as a native species. Speech therapy sessions spent sitting in a tiny chair, padded headphones sliding over ears. R remains a chimera in the room of my mouth. I only sometimes know the sound of what I say. Sometimes a catch, a stutter stops one word and makes another. Burdock, also called love leaves, coarse-fleshed, turn over a leaf and feel its fur, heart-shaped bandages for burns, for broken skin. That healing doesn't come without the seeds, without the seed pods, without the scratch of bract. That healing doesn't come without the wound. And this is on the difficulty of saying. If I name the stars, what does it matter to the stars? And lastly, Ship of Theseus. Imagine a dog, thin but still collared, loping the yellow lines of a rural highway. Imagine the cars, hazards flashing, doors left open, drivers patting their thighs. Swap in any soft, lost thing. Swap in any other voice. Hear it sweeten. Come here, pal. Let's get you home.
Thank you, Jen. That was a wonderful reading.
Oh, thank you.
I really, yeah, I was so impressed with some of the linguistic dexterity there. The idea of a chimera in my mouth, those in the room of my mouth, that was quite lovely. And it's interesting, the first poem so involved, and it really the second one kind of took me a little off guard.
Yeah, right. The tension between really long and really short.
Yeah. It's like one of these is a canto, the other's a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I those wonderful work.
Thank you.
I think that the idea, like, I have feelings I can't bring myself to name. I so want to read the whole book to which that's an epigram.
Mm-hmm. I'd love for somebody else to write it.
Right.
I think Rick Campbell should do that.
Yes, we should ask Rick. I'm sure he'd have a lot of things to say. So when I was listening, I was thinking about how much I love work that is citational and expansive. So, and maybe it's the academic in me or something, I don't know, but I love work that starts with your own idea, but also grafts on to these other things, this other meaning that other people have made, and then it makes its own meaning out of all these meanings, because I think that's really how we function. Right? Like, we might have like a kernel of an idea, but then we go, I wonder what other people think about that. And I want, oh, well, this person says this, and then it makes you build on that. And oh, I like the sound of that word. And the next thing you know, it's like this big tree.
Right.
meaning that you're constructing with language. And as I think poetry is especially good at doing that, because sometimes in prose it's easy to get bogged down with those like sort of references, but in poetry I think you can rely on the image and the crispness to help you maintain the freshness of that language.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I'm really interested in is assemblages, right? Like how we put different things together. And I mean, that's what we do in academic writing. It's what we do in poetry. We do it in all kinds of ways, quilting, right? Weaving. And so uh, I think that's part of why I'm so interested in the etymologies, right? Is that they're also this kind of history of assemblages of the way in which the language works. And then that opens up all these other possibilities.
Yeah.
Christina, I'm just curious, did you also feel compelled to do burdock research while she was reading?
Oh, yeah, because it was making me think of, yes. Did you do some?
Yeah, it promotes the flow of bile,
Yes.
which I think we need that now. Yes.
I knew that because as someone who no longer has a gallbladder, that is a thing that you need to research, because burdock is often used as a supplement for people who can't make their own bile. And it does that. It functions that way. So, but yeah, and burdock root, and that whole like complexity it's fascinating because it's used in a lot of medicines, and especially, like alternative treatments.
Well, and it was fascinating to me because I just learned that I've been using burr, B-U-R-R, instead of B-U-R, which is apparently incorrect. And so that sent me clearly into a series of rabbit warrens, and which I also just find that interesting too, right? How often people who read and listen and spend a lot of time kind of in language can often just get it so wrong, like we just we're using the wrong words all the time. So,
oh yeah, as soon as some of our readers hear Ohio Weed Dictionary, they're going to think something totally.
Here's hoping, right? Here's hoping.
Well, and as you were reading, I kept thinking about when you were talking about like whose breath, whose lungs from the, and it made me think of this concept of when we touch someone else, what are we doing the touching, or are they doing the touching, and what are we experiencing? And that's what this made me think about, this complexity of language. And when we are speaking, who is listening? Well, we're listening, but the other people are listening, and how does that change the meaning? And now you have a whole new thing when someone else listens, just like the idea of putting things together and how it changes meaning and makes things bigger and smaller. And
sure.
I love that.
A trait or a trope or something that I have is using the word your with a slash between the Y and the O, right? So that is yours and also like ours. And I find myself thinking about that when you are talking about the idea of touching, right? Who's touching whom? It is collaborative, right? Or it is this, the same touching.
Yes, and it's the kind of thing that like it really makes your gears turn and turn and turn. And that's the exciting thing about writing in some ways, is that it is this act of discovery. Even if we kind of know sort of where we want to go, then we do more research, or we think more, we experience the world more, whatever, and it disrupts our path, and it makes it something better. It always, I think, makes it better. So you have some smart asses in the I want to say this. So Doc said, I'm a retired podiatrist, so I used to write footnotes.
Oh.
And then John came back in and he said, I'm hopeful for a sequel that invokes Aaron Burr.
So this is also a good opportunity for me to say that Doc is wonderful. I'm so glad to have met him last year at the Edith Chase reading in Kent. But John's support of my work has been transformative to it. And because I have the opportunity to remark on his pun, I also want to say he just has been a fabulous supporter and sort of first reader of a lot of the work that I've done. So I've been really appreciative of him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, do you have any books that you would like to talk about or that you'd like to show us? On the show, we always ask that. Anything?
Yeah. So it would have been good if I had been prepared to do that. But so American Crow is obviously still in the world. Beltway Editions and Indran Amirtanayagam has been also just such a beautiful supporter and friend and fantastic conversationalist and keen-eyed editor. So American Crow is available, and that's prose poems about history and about hollow spaces and alcoholism. There's a bunch of things wrapped up in that.
I have read that book and loved it. I just
yeah, thank you.
Somewhere in here, like you, I don't know where it is.
And just recently has come out Before After, which I suppose I should grab, but it is a series of poems before and after the most recent election. And they're all grounded in history. So there's a poem on John Browne. There's a poem on the Johnstown flood. There's a poem on Denora, Pennsylvania, which is how we have the EPA. I referenced Nosferatu. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. But that is Pure Sleeze Press that just released that as part of their spring drop. And Jonathan S. Baker and Arizona and the folk there have been so wonderful and supportive and caring and careful in their production of those chapbooks. And I'm in the great company of a bunch of wonderful folk. So I would send people to that website to check out Pure Sleeze Press.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making time to be on the show.
Thank you. It's been a gift to be here.
Oh, it's been wonderful. And we can't wait to hear more about the lineup for the Indie Lit Fest. We'll be keeping an eye out. And also in September, because it's in September also, the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia Conference is coming up, and we will be opening registration as soon as the IT person gets that ready. And it will be shortly, I promise. And we're very, very excited to talk about that event and to get people to come to Wheeling and hang out with us. And it's not that far from Frostburg. And Jennifer, I believe you are presenting at the WANA conference. So
I am presenting at the WANA conference, and I'm like so stupid excited about it, and have already started writing poems for it, and I'm just really looking forward.
To that. Yeah. That's great. All right. Well, everybody, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Good night.